Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Need More Info, a podcast exploring the worlds of movies, video games, and TV shows. I'm your host, Nate, and today I'm joined by hosts Fergus and James. So, I hope everyone had a great weekend. Obviously, we're recording this on Tuesday, but it's maybe a great week out there for you. Hopefully, the weather's cleared up in the UK, but obviously, with true British stylings, it is very grey. This week it seems with rain impending. So spring has arrived for the UK. Yay. But yes, so obviously, if you're joining us from last week when we returned for our new episode, we decided to deal with properties and adaptations and remakes that disappointed us, and honestly, it was quite hilarious, to be honest. But yes, I don't know, like with these sorts of properties, you get the good and the bad, and you want to see where you're going to go. And obviously, this week we are going to get into properties we'd like to see turn into video games. But these are properties that can be already have had a video game out there. Maybe it's a property that we wanted to see in a certain genre, seen in a certain way. It could be, could be very interesting to see how we go there. I'm definitely wondering. I've heard from someone here that there might be a few outliers, so this could be quite interesting, to be honest. But before we get into that, and before we get into the news, how are you guys doing today?
Hello. Thanks for having me once again. I'm good. I've been going outside this week. The weather has
Yay!
the weather has cleared up, so I've been absorbing sunlight. That is my
You've been
news.
photosynthesizing.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same for me. I mean, it's been a nice weekend, out and about, drinking down at pubs. It's been great.
I like the fact that people joke that they photosynthesize, but we do need vitamin D to actually live well. So, yeah, that's actually quite funny to us. So I guess we do kind of photosynthesize to some degree.
Yeah, but it's fairly cheap to buy.
That is also true if you just want to stay inside and take a tablet. And yeah, James has literally just poured up a bottle of vitamin D tablets. And I mean, definitely during COVID, I love the fact that Dr. Mai went, yeah, you need to see the sun, or you need to get some and we need to put you on some tablets because you have like very, very low vitamin D. And I'm like, yay, great. That's why I'm tired.
I think everyone does. Everyone
Hmm.
basically everyone who doesn't live on the equator, uh, is chronically low in vitamin D. So even if you go outside, like chug that vitamin D.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely, most definitely. But yeah, no, it was definitely been an interesting week. Lots of games played, lots of walks had, lots of spring cleaning, rubbish thrown away, and very tired at the weekend. And then filling my social quota, and then I was just playing Elden Ring pretty much the rest of the weekend. Yes, I'm sure Jordan will really like that. He will love the fact that I'm just playing that game. But yes, people, obviously, we've had some interesting weeks. We've had with all these topics and everything we were doing. But as you know, before we get into the topics, we like to get into the news. So, starting off with the news in the movie field, it seems that we are getting a live action Voltron movie. Now, I'm actually quite a big Voltron fan, not because of the 80s cartoon, but because of the Netflix TV show. It was actually really good, like really good. I highly recommend watching if you didn't. There was 8 seasons of Voltron on Netflix. Turns out Netflix will just do a ton of episodes, and they had a beginning and an end. It was really good. I highly recommend it, people. But it seems that Warner Brothers, Universal, and Amazon are among 6 or 7 studios currently, and streamers currently bidding for the chance to have Voltron as a live action movie. But it seems that Netflix is not in the running for this. This is coming from IGN.
I've completely missed Voltron. I have literally no idea what it is. Uh, what is Voltron?
It's about human kids finding robot lions on Earth, or well, one of them on Earth. Initially, this is how I saw it, and then it's sort of like Power Rangers to a degree. And then because obviously these kids finds these robots, and then they can form into one mega kaiju machine robot, which is Voltron. Basically, but all the robots that are like the parts are lions. They're lions, and each lion has a special ability. And yeah, it was just a really, and obviously they're defending the galaxy and the universe from evil people. Has a sort of interesting plot device. There are some interesting narratives with certain characters and their heritage, like their genetics, was actually quite cool. And it was actually really nice to just see a show just be just be different, to be honest. But yeah, that is the show, and obviously Netflix has definitely been on track quite well with its animated TV shows. I think it's actually been doing a lot better in recent years. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where it goes here. So it seems that it is being written by Red Notice's Rawson Marshall Thuber, who was a co-writer and is in process to direct it. So yes, wonder who will have it. I'm betting it will either be Warner Brothers or Amazon, or it'd be interesting if Paramount Plus just comes in and just comes out of nowhere because they're trying to buff up their streaming content at the moment. So yes, let's go on to the next topic, people. The next topic, and it seems if you are British and you watched a lot of movies growing up, especially comedy films, you would have not missed the comedy movie The Full Monty. It is a film released in 1997. It was about a group of men, 6 unemployed men, who decide to form a male striptease act to raise money to, just being able to raise money to survive and to live, and also for the main character to be able to see his son. It did very well at the box office. I was quite shocked by this. So it was made for $3.5 million, which I could cut. If you look at the film now, you can definitely tell it was made for that budget. But it made, according to Wikipedia, $258 million. That is insane, people. Insane. And it was adapted into a musical in 2000 and 2013. And it was nominated at the Academy Awards for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Original Musical or Score, winning the last one. So that's pretty interesting indeed. Pretty interesting indeed.
So is this a remake, or is this where are they now? Is the original cast coming back? It's interesting. It's coming back now.
Yeah. It's a full-on sequel. It is a full-on sequel. It is hilarious. Like, honestly, just absolutely hilarious. I don't know, to be honest. It's interesting how this plays out. So from going from BBC, it seems that I did have the news article up. I accidentally went off of it. It seems that it is going to be a direct sequel from the original, and it's going to be on Disney Plus.
I do have some comments about this. Disney Plus seem to be getting a lot more comfortable with the less family-friendly show, especially when nudity is involved.
I mean, they have put the Netflix, Marvel shows on there now, and I think they have just put like a adult warning on it, basically, or the adult warning isn't. I haven't checked out specifically, but yeah, no. I'm kind of glad Disney are doing this because I think it's paving way. Like they've because people can't just like Disney isn't just Disney. It encompasses a ton of different like areas, and if we're going to be getting Deadpool, which is supposedly R-rated still, from what I've heard, from what people have read, then you can't not have it as R-rated. Because I know they tried to do the kidified version, like the PG version, and it just didn't work. I love the fact that Fred Savage was in there, like Princess Bride. I thought that was hilarious, but it just doesn't work. But yeah, no, a lot of the main cast is coming back. Robert Carlyle, Mark Addy, Tom Wilkinson. Obviously, Robert Carlyle, very famous actor. Mark Addy, more famously known for maybe people across the pond for Game of Thrones. For Robert Baratheon. He's been in a ton of properties though. And it seems like a ton of the original cast are coming back for it, which will be really fun to see. So yes, that was really interesting indeed. Hopping over to video games though, it seems, James, that I believe we may have spoke last week, but we are getting another Witcher game. But it seems that it turns out that it is a Lynx.
Yeah, School of Deodorant.
Yes, it would be Link. Yes, Link's ice. That's what it would be for the ice attacks. But no, it's interesting because wasn't the Lynx fan fiction originally, if I'm correct?
It's not part of canon, certainly.
Yeah, so obviously, people are wondering, is this going to be Siri? Is it going to be like maybe... Because funny enough, Chase, I love the fact that last week you spoke about that thing you read up about the possible, game. It could be like a character-created Witcher in a new thing. Maybe it's after
I would
The
love. I
Witcher
would.
series?
I think I said this last week. I would love a prequel. I'd love it to be set, right at the start of the Witcher of like the Witcher schools. I think that'd be because then there's so much stuff that you could invent and create. I mean, and it would be, and to be fair, way more monsters and way more events. You could do the whole kind of war between the elves and humankind, depending on how far back you set it. But I need to check my history to be fair on Witcher. But I think a prequel would be very, very fertile grounds. That's my personal preference. I think they ended the franchise really well with Witcher 3 and Blood and Wine. So my personal preference would be prequel, but see what we do.
So it definitely won't be more Geralt then.
No, I think they've confirmed it won't be Geralt.
Mm.
Yeah.
Which or I don't know if it's been confirmed, but I'm hoping it isn't.
So but that's purely because CD Projekt Red ended his story so well. I don't want to see it, extended needlessly.
Mm.
And yeah, I think that's the best way to go. I'm hoping for a sequel because that way, obviously, I guess The Witcher's got like hundreds and hundreds and maybe 1,000 years for like all this to take place. But obviously, with the prequel Netflix series coming out, I'm wondering could they link it to that more? Because obviously you've got the proto Witcher, as they're saying in that Netflix show. So maybe there could be something there. But obviously, they had the previous schools. So obviously, the school of the multiple schools. But if this one, isn't based in the books, wouldn't that mean either it's a lost school or I don't know, a sequel school?
I mean, well, I was going to say exactly that. I was thinking that as well. So yeah, I think it was based upon what we know what it is, but it's a completely new school. Either it will be a prequel, or we may have had more schools and one of them may have gone extinct, or maybe Siri founds a new Witcher school afterwards, because it would have to be a completely new school, which would be difficult to do since witches are basically becoming extinct and nobody knows how to create new witches. So actually thinking about it here, that kind of leaves more credence to it being a prequel, and which I sincerely would love to see.
So it does say here that basically this is from Eurogamer people. The only place it does exist, as Victoria, I believe one of the writers explains, is it was in fan fiction and was posted on the Witcher fandom wiki. Is the story dreamt up was that the Witcher Lambert and sorceress Kira met, journeyed south after the events of The Witcher 3, and eventually joined and reformed the Cat School as the Link School. So they could have changed it.
Maybe, yeah.
Could be something.
Yeah,
Could be something, but
maybe they've done that, but I prefer them to do what prequel.
do James's
Yeah.
way.
No.
That's what it is.
I have full faith in whatever CD Projekt Red does because so we'll see what they come up with.
Excellent, people. Excellent. Right. Shifting over to the next topic, which is kind of one of the biggest ones, actually. I'm kind of glad this happened today. So it seems that PlayStation has revealed their new game subscription service, and it turns out it's not going to be called PlayStation Spartacus or Project Spartacus. It's just PlayStation Plus still. But they've decided to roll PS Now into PlayStation Plus, and they've created a tiered system. So basically, it's been revealed today, which this will be coming out in June. Initially in Japan, I believe, and then it'll be rolling out further across the world. So there'll be 3 tiers. There will be PlayStation Plus Essential, which is essentially the same we have now. Basically, no extra current charges. You get 2 monthly downloadable games, discounts, save game, cloud storage, access to multiplayer games for most features. Then there is the PlayStation Plus Extra. This is the extra tier, where basically you will get all the essential benefits from the essential tier, as well as a catalogue of 405 to 400 PS4 and PS5 games that can be downloaded at any time you're a member. It includes first party and third party games, but they have specified that this is the interesting part. It's not going to be like Game Pass because it's not going to include day one titles. Now, I'm wondering, because the pricing here is interesting, because in the US, it's going to cost $15 a month, yearly $100. In the UK, it'll be $10.99 monthly, and it will be $83.99 yearly. No Australian price at the time. And then we have PlayStation Plus Premium, where it includes all the essential and extra benefits and adds 340 additional games, including PS1, PS2, PSP for streaming and download. The one concern I have is that the PlayStation 3 games can only be streamed still. They can't be downloaded. So, but streaming can be carried on PS4, PS5, and PC. And also, premium members will receive time-limited trials of some games. This will cost $18 in America, $120 yearly, or $13.49 monthly in the UK, or £99 or £100 or $99.99 yearly. So my initial thoughts on this is, I love the idea of having a huge back catalogue of games, because sometimes you want to play these games. They're shorter games, but you can't afford them. So having this sphere is good, and it is the similar approach to Game Pass and all these things coming out like Ubisoft Plus and EA Origin and all these games. The one thing that Sony's doing though is it's not giving you day one titles like every other subscription service. Now, I do understand both sides of the coin here, but I believe Fergus has a point here, and I believe I'm going to let Fergus hop in.
I do think this might be its downfall, not giving the day one titles on day one as part of the subscription. Because you freeze that, well, people are people going to buy the day one titles at what is now £70 for PlayStation 5 titles, and then maybe a month, 2 months down the line, have that game appear on their subscription service? So are people going to stop buying day one titles in favor of just holding off for a couple of months, robbing them of a lot of money potentially?
So I think yes and no in this regard. I think some people who can't afford the games on day one, it will be an issue. People can't afford because there's some games like Horizon and Elden Ring, for example, they came out within weeks of each other, and some people will have to decide because £70 is a lot of money. And and if you want the ultimate version, you could be looking at over £100 for some games, of course. And I think maybe if there's at least 6 months, you wait and everything. But you are going to have a ton of people who are going to want to play their God of Wars and their Grand Theft Autos if it comes on their PlayStation initially, or Horizon, all these big Sony games that are coming out. I think people are going to want to play them day one. Sony is known as well for being really good for their single player video games, like their good content video games, and I think that is their driving force still. Now, obviously, it's not to say down the line possibly that could change, day one titles down the line, but also Microsoft has a ton more it's a much bigger company than Sony, so that they have more of a chance to put in their titles on Game Pass and all that stuff. And Ubisoft isn't it's one publisher, whereas Sony, I think they have all their in-house studios. They're not going to want to put their God of Wars on there initially and everything, and they want to drive up their games and hopefully push that out. And I don't know, just I'm fine with it. I'm still going to buy my God of War. I'm probably going to get this. I'll probably just get the extra version because I already pay the basic version. So an extra £10 for 400 PS4, PS5 games every 3 months is not a bad thing. That's how I see it. Or 83 quid a year. That's the thing, right? As well, you could pay 70 quid for a game, or if you can't afford it, just pay just a Christmas. Maybe get yourself a nice Christmas present. Get yourself a yearly pass, and also by the time you play through your back catalogue of games you want to do, maybe those games that have come out, that you didn't want to play, you couldn't afford beforehand, have gone onto the Game Pass store. Having that 6-month grace period. Maybe that's a good way to go about it. Maybe that is something to do. But I'm kind of glad they haven't created a new subscription service on top of PlayStation Plus. They've just rolled it into one, and I think that's the best way to go about it.
I'm worried about the huge premium of 70 quid to buy you 6 months' time for a game that will be basically free to you because you're subscribing anyway.
I think also, another thing is that you'd still have to pay the subscription service to play the game anyway.
Yeah, that's going to be £100 a year compared to £70 for one game for an extra 6 months.
The way I think about it, though, games are discounted about 6 months later anyway. They could go down by 25, 30 quid, 40 quid anyway during those sales. So maybe it just balances out, because if you discount a game 6 months later and it's 25, 30 quid cheaper, it's only going to be about 15, 20 quid more than the actual subscription service is for like a quarter or a year. So I don't know, like, you know, maybe that's a good way to go about it. But yes, people, it's going to be interesting. Nintendo definitely won't do this. I pretty much if they did, it'd be interesting.
Well, they already have the Nintendo 64 and SNES subscription service on Switch, which is expanding
True.
slowly, very, very slowly.
But I don't think they'll have their their latest Nintendo titles or at all on there.
No, there won't be day ones for sure, ever.
I don't think they'd even have like day 200s or something, because you know, even getting Nintendo games now, you know, it's still Nintendo's known for its, you know, good value games. But well, actually, the sales have been a lot better recently. But yeah, going on to the final topic though. Speaking of Nintendo's, a nice little segue. Legend of Zelda finally got its release window. Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh.
Spring 2023. They've pushed it back till next year. Basically, it was announced today. There was a 1.5-minute video for Eiji Unuma, I hope I pronounced his name correctly, series producer, basically apologized for the delay, basically saying, this according to this from IGN, from the Twitter video, in order to make this game's experience something special, the entire development team is continuing to work diligently on this game, so please wait a while longer. But no specific reason was given for the delay. But the thing is, at the end of the day, right, you know, I'm fine with that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would have loved Breath of the Wild this year, but I think a lot of people are basically jokingly saying, well, that's basically given Elden Ring the Game of the Year title now, because imagine having Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild come out the same year. I feel sorry for Horizon so much. Like, Horizon came out and Breath of the Wild came out at the same time, and you know it was just both amazing games, and then Horizon came out, then Elden Ring came out weeks later. Don't get me wrong, both games are amazing. I don't know if I'd love a game to come out that's nowhere near as big as Elden Ring and beat it for Game of the Year. I'd love that so much, because all these people basically, you know, don't get me wrong, Elden Ring is an amazing game, but we're only in March. You know, there are so many games to come out still this year. There could be a Hades. There could be another Hades come out this year that just goes, no, I'm taking this Game of the Year title. But yes, people, I'm just Breath of the Wild. If you go back to one of our previous episodes, Breath of the Wild was very important to me, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where Breath of the Wild 2 goes, because it seems that we might be in Hyrule still, the land of Hyrule from Breath of the Wild, but obviously, you know, we're exploring the Skyward Kingdom now, from the looks of it. And it seems that Link is tattooed now, and he has a broken or corrupted version of the Master Sword in one of the videos. So that'll be interesting. I wonder if this game he'll finally speak. That would be interesting, especially after Halo this week. You know, a lot of people. That was another thing. People, you know, obviously Halo came out in America one more time, because the rest of the world can't have it at the moment. But it's coming to Now TV later down the line. But yes, they revealed Master Chief's face in the first episode of the Halo TV series. I watched reactions to it online. I'm not gonna lie, I'm fine with it. The narrative for it was, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I've heard there's some issues with the second episode. There are 9 episodes, I believe. So I don't know how it's gonna go, but I will tell you this: the reactions saw. It's just violent. I did not. It shocked me. But the Spartans intro, epic, and they definitely do some game related stuff there.
An illegal spy agency discovers the theft of a prototype weapon. Derek, codename Confused Llama, and his handler Frank, codename Majestic Vole, investigate the theft. A naive man with fanciful notions, Derek sets out on his inept journey to reclaim the weapon from villainous hands, unaware of the hidden tale following him. Enter the world of Confused Llama, A Spy's Tale, a short comedic spy thriller available on Amazon in paperback or Kindle.
And that was the news, people. That was the news. We are now going to go into the main topic. So obviously, as we mentioned before, with adaptations and remakes last week that we were disappointed by, we decided, we'd instead of doing like our favorite or what we didn't enjoy, we'd think of like properties that we'd like to see turn into video games. This could be properties that already have video games, and what sort of games we'd like to see made. So we're not limited to properties that have never had a video game created, because there are so many properties that have already had that. But yes, I'm just wondering, like, with the world of like media coming out nowadays, and how many adaptations we're having, I'm definitely interested to see what you guys are offering. So I think we're just gonna hop straight into it. Fergus, do you want to give us your first property, or do you want to go for your honorable mentions first?
So I've gone for things that, to my knowledge, have never had a game made. So I guess my first property series would be the Final Empire series, Mistborn. This is a series by Brandon Sanderson. He's quite famous in fantasy circles. Very prolific author, but has the Mistborn series, which I don't know if you've read it at all, but basically the Dark Lord, Demon Lord of all like fantasy and isekai, has won. Is running the empire. Everyone's sad and slaves and this sort of thing. So there's a rebellion brewing to take him down, and you in the novel are one of the rebels trying to take him down. What makes this interesting is you have the magic system, Allomancy. There's a few others as well that use the consuming of trace metals for you to do various abilities. So, like super jump, increasing physical abilities, play with people's emotions. Like, this is stuff that could be used just to do fairly typical RPG buffs and actions. So I'm thinking action adventure RPG. Maybe make your own character. You become one of the rebels, run around doing various missions with the ultimate aim of taking down the Dark Lord.
Nice. I know I believe I've read some of his books before. That's it. I've read Steelheart and Mitosis, from the Reckoners series. Obviously, I'm a
Right.
big superhero fan, so I never finished oh no, sorry, it was I watched Steelheart and I read Steelheart and Firefight. I never finished I never read Calamity though. So it's definitely, I have heard of Brandon Sanderson, because we have a few friends that I definitely know. I think it was the Mistborn series he was reading, to be honest. So I'm definitely surprised he doesn't have any just even TV or movie properties out there yet, because he's done so many different things.
Yeah. So, oh no, Wikipedia has just informed me that there was a video game in 2012 called Mistborn Birthright. It's been delayed until 2015, 16. I think it came out eventually in 2007. It was officially cancelled. Right, okay. There was an attempt at a video game that was announced in 2012, but was delayed until 2017 and was eventually cancelled. It was announced a Mistborn crossover with Fortnite. Oh, there might be a crossover with Fortnite imminent. Maybe.
Of course, Fortnite. Just everything Fortnite. It's just, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. But that's cool. That is awesome. Do you have any honorable mentions at all? Or is that
You should see my picks.
Oh wow, okay. Okay, what we'll do is we'll do the reverse for you then. We'll save your honorable mentions till last, and then we'll go through your initial things first. But yes, we will hop over to James now. James, do you want to give us your first one?
Yeah, so my first one is going to be Source Code, the film.
Okay.
And so, after Deathloop did the whole investigation kind of thing with a whole loop kind of angle. I just feel something like Source Code, where it is an actual investigating a crime, but with a loop mechanic, could work really, really well. Where you can start to learn little bits of the crime you're trying to solve each time and get better and better. I think you could.
I think there was an indie game fairly recently that basically did this. I can't remember what it was called, but
It's not 12 minutes, is it?
maybe it takes place singly in a room. You've kind of got a
12
top-down.
minutes.
Yeah,
12
that's
minutes,
it.
yeah.
That's
I
it,
need to
yeah.
play that. By the sounds of it.
Yeah, it's got James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and William Dafoe in it.
But come on, you can be more inventive. You can make it more than just. I will check it out, but I think you could do something. The Source Code was also a bit of an action as well at times, so well, at least maybe towards the end of it with chasing. But I think you could probably turn it into a detective / action, but with more focused story than like Deathloop maybe had. We're actually really investigating the crime, so rather than taking place in a train and just coming up with ideas top of my head here, it could be, I don't know, maybe you're in some kind of building and you've got to stop like a bomb threat or something going off. You can do so much with that concept, so many different ideas. Heck, it could be a murder mystery whodunit in a mansion and you're trying to work out who it is.
I'm just thinking Die Hard with time loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be. How many times do you want to hear the old catchphrase in that movie? I'm not going to say it out loud just in case of copyright. But yeah, no, that's pretty awesome, man. To be honest. So Source Code, I never would have thought of that. It was a good movie as well. It was a good movie.
Yeah, and yeah, especially if you end a film where it should have ended. It's a fantastic movie.
Which a lot of properties don't do.
Well, yeah, but you're aware that Source Code did not end where it should end. There was a bit that carried on afterwards, but it had there's a perfect ending to it about kind of towards the end of the film, and they could just continue it afterwards. It's like, and didn't need to do that. It's not good. But the actual ending is I don't like with Source Code, but end it where it should have ended it, and it's an amazing film.
Cool, awesome Source. Well, I like how you guys went for properties that haven't had video games, because I'm about to technically, it has happened, but well, it definitely has happened, but I'm gonna go with Star Trek initially. Now, this is going to be an initial one because obviously we've had so many Star Trek games for VR and mobile and even the film adaptation games. But I'd like a game sort of like Resident Evil 2 in the sense of you play as multiple characters. So basically, at the start of the game, you get to choose the ship you're on. So you get to choose the class of ship, and you get to play as 3 different characters in command, in engineering, and in medical. And I believe, and maybe each campaign section is 7 hours long, 7-8 hours long. So it's not a huge amount, but it's a good 20-hour game. So think the recent Quantic Dream game, Detroit Become Human, where you play 3 different characters in this interwoven story sort of thing. But make it sort of like an action, a game for the commander section, or the security section, and basically just go through this entire game and the interwoven stories between each, and also if you're in this big space battle and you're in the command section of the game, you've got to do all these decisions, and then it cuts to the engineering section where they're being ordered to make some adjustments to the ship, and the narrative just really interweaves like that. And I think that sort of game would be really interesting to have, to be honest. And obviously, you can explore strange new worlds and all the different open world aspects of that. So yeah, that is my first option.
That'd be good.
But yeah, so we're gonna loop it back around now to Fergus. Fergus, do you want to give us your next option?
Okay. Sticking with the mystery games, Agatha Christie has quite a large number of series that could be ripe for turning into historical murder mystery games. I think you'd probably want to start with someone like Poirot, because you made quite a lot of Sherlock Holmes games. He would be different enough, and you've got the added benefit of most of the crimes take place in a self-contained setting. So you could have murder mystery crossed with something more akin to a Hitman level. So instead of wandering around murdering people, you're wandering around interviewing people, picking up clues, investigating, putting things together in a log, that sort of thing. So I think if we can get the kids back on board with Poirot, I think game mechanically wise, it has a lot of potential, I think.
Fergus, hasn't there actually been a recent Poirot adaptation? Not just game, but hasn't there actually been a recent adaptation?
Yes, Death on the Nile is probably still in cinemas right now, actually, which is a famous Poirot investigation.
Interesting.
Has a number of famous people in it.
Yeah, see, Kenneth Branagh's one of the lead actors in that. Obviously, has Armie Hammer, Gal Gadot, Annette Bening, Tom Bateman, but obviously Letitia Wright, obviously sleep other actors. So going on that though, would this be like Hitman in the sense of like, you know, just one mission, or would it be multiple? Because obviously with the Hitman series, there's multiple missions over different locations. So would it be different investigations for each section?
It would probably be one investigation per location, but you could be inventive and reuse locations, but you might not be able to reuse characters, which is something Hitman does very well. So it might have less replayability or higher cost to make, but still fun.
I mean, does Poirot have like a Moriarty or something? Like, 'cause obviously these sorts of properties, you know, these detectives have like their nemesis sort of thing. I don't know if he does, but it could be a case of like take the very like nemesis element of like, you know, he could have like a Moriarty, the detective, like the overarching villain in each of these is connected in each of these and everything, and eventually the final mission is dealing with that, like, you know, nemesis. So you could have like different murders, and you're investigating in these different locations around the world. And
I honestly don't think so. I've got no memory of overarching Moriarty-like plot. I mean, he just turns up at rich people's house parties and someone happens to die, and then he just happens to be
wow,
the first detective on the scene. I think the joke is that he's actually the serial killer, but this could apply to any number of Agatha Christie-style detectives, to be honest.
that would be absolutely hilarious, to be honest. That would be absolutely hilarious. But yeah, no, again, like, you know, people, interesting properties here, interesting properties indeed. We are now going to slide along to James's next one. James, you want to hit us with your next property?
Yeah, sure. So this is probably not a let's say well thought out idea, but so there's a lot of superhero games out there, but I don't think there's a game. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nate, but I don't think there's a game based on what is probably my favourite superhero TV show that I've seen in recent years, and that is The Tick.
That okay. Right, people. This is where you've got to love sometimes. Like, oh, hold on, Fergus is googling it now ahead of time, so I'll keep talking while Fergus googles in the background. Oh, he's done it.
Is The Tick Peter Serafinowicz?
It is,
one of-
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of episodes of this, and I was kind of baffled by it, to be honest.
I just love I'm a sucker for anything comedic, really, to be fair, and I thought it was really good, absurd, kind of like comedic superhero series. I find it absolutely hilarious. I love the show, and I would love to see. And we've got fantastic games like, you know, the Batman Arkham series, and I'd also love the, you know, the dark storylines of that. But I would love to see a proper light, just funny superhero game, and I think that's where The Tick would be really good. Just ramp up the absurdity, ramp up the hilarity, and just have fun with it, and no need to be, you know, dark with story or anything. It's just good old fun absurdity.
Yeah, no, that is actually quite hilarious, man. Like, it's like the fact that basically when it comes to these properties, it's, I don't know, I would not have expected The Tick. And yeah, that was like a really hilarious show. And also, a lot of superhero games are serious, so it would be quite funny to have a superhero game that has like a very heavy comedic tone to it, which would be quite funny, to be honest. And the question is though, would we actually find out if where The Tick is from, and if the tick is real or not?
A good point. To be fair, I'm disappointed that they cancelled the show after 2 seasons, because they'd set it up for another season at the end of it. So maybe the game should take place directly after the second season, and, you know, it starts to answer some of the questions it set up.
Yeah, no, that would have been that would have been absolute fair, dude. Yeah, that would be a great point. I know graphic novels and books have done it and everything. And sometimes TV shows have done it from films. So yeah, the Tick people, again, not one I expected. I know we've had Earthworm Jim games in the past, but I don't think we've had a Tick. And if we did, it was probably like, way back in the day when it first came out. So going on to my next one, I'm going to say Scream. So Scream, but in the style of Until Dawn. But you don't know who the killer is for the entire game until you get to the end. But it could be a case of that one of the characters you play as has been the killer the entire time. But you've done actions in the game which has led up to you killing people. You've just not realized it.
Interesting. I'm still trying to work out how that actually works in my head. So you're doing actions, but so you're saying you use a player character as the killer.
So yes, so basically, like in Scream, you don't really know who the killer is until near the end of the game, sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
So you have all these characters in the game, in the films and everything, who you don't know is the killer, and they do all these things in the game. Sometimes these characters interact with the killer, and obviously they may get accidentally attacked by Ghostface or whatever, and they run away from him or they get stabbed or whatever, and it turns out later on that they're an accomplice of him, and it turns out there's more than one Ghostface. So it's a case of like, you could be playing as one character, one part, because obviously in these games you play as different characters all the way through, and you could be setting up certain events in certain scenes, but then it turns out later on when you're fighting the villain, it turns out it's a character from a previous chapter you've already played as, but you don't realize it until you get to the end.
Right, okay.
I see. So one of the characters that you were playing as is the killer, but you're playing as...
Yep, exactly.
I get it.
I think that would be absolutely great to do. Like, and you've got to go through the game figuring out like who the killer is, and also it would be hilarious. Like, maybe it has a random generator system. So like, there's a pathway system in the game where it decides, it predetermines who the killer is at the start of, like, maybe there's like 5 or 6 different versions of the killer. So you have to play through the game, and there's different scenarios each time, and you don't know who the killer is through each playthrough. That way, it adds replayability. I think that'd be really good, to be honest. But yeah, that was because obviously you've got all these dark anthology games coming out and all these games coming out with it, and I still need to play the others, but I still need to watch the Scream 4 and the latest Scream movie. I've heard the latest one's pretty good. It's quite nostalgia heavy, but I've heard like they're really good, the newer ones. And I've got a few friends who like it, and I just thought to myself, Ghostface has been in like loads of other properties, but he's never really had his own game. Whereas other like Friday the 13th has had its own game, all these, Jason, I don't think Freddy Krueger has, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see. So yeah, that is my next game choice. Let's swing it back around to Fergus now. How many more you got, dude?
I have 2 more. So my next one is, so I was thinking, what other famous authors don't have video games, as far as I'm aware, and I came up with Shakespeare, specifically Romeo and Juliet. This story's been riffed on pretty heavily, probably in other games, but having an actual historically original setting kind of game could be quite interesting. Now, you could do a range of things with this. Either you turn it into something more of a sort of romance visual novel where you have to pick the right choices to end up with Juliet, but obviously it could work out, it may not work out. Or you could be more, it could be more action adventure. You play as Romeo in this kind of, you've got to wander the streets of is it Venice? I'll say Venice. And challenge people to duels and do quests and sort out family issues and get in gang warfare fights, and with the aim of with the subplot of Juliet there. So I think it is a pretty healthy property for many more adaptations, or like a straight up proper real adaptation, rather than it just being like a side quest, or at best, to be honest.
Nice. I mean, Romeo and Juliet. Like, I know, obviously, we've had tons of different adaptations. Like, like I didn't like James Gunn. We did a movie called Romeo and Juliet or something like that, and just all these people doing all these different adaptations, and obviously a lot of people have seen the Baz Luhrmann modern day adaptation of Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio, which was really good, to be honest.
It was really good. Top 10 films, definitely.
John Leguizamo is really good in that movie as well. He is really good in that film. But yeah, that's interesting. Like, would it be like sort of a I don't know, Crusader Kings type thing, or would it be more like just a proper narrative, like heavy dialogue choice? Maybe like Telltale something, like maybe like a Telltale style game.
Yeah, I think it would have to be pretty narrative driven and dialogue driven. But I say there's a lot of potential for action because it's gang warfare. So you could have wander around town and get into a brawl with the other side's thugs or what have you.
The Capulets and Montagues, isn't it?
Yes, Capulets and Montagues. So
my English school studying is coming back. I mean, to be fair, if you don't know the Romeo and Juliet story from school, like that was pretty much drilled into us in school, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Romeo and Juliet, that is an interesting property, people. Again, Fergus is just dropping all these different properties there. Just not like, I'm just like, yeah, it's already been a game. Let's just make this one instead. But yes, we're going to slide back over to James now. And James, what's your next property, man? He's got a big grin on his face.
So are we competing for most left field idea?
Fuck it, just go for it.
So this might be very UK centric thing, but in the UK certainly there is some well-known greeting cards with penguins on them. Like usually comedic kind of penguin kind of greeting cards, like funny comments and penguins in different situations. So my idea is have a point-and-click adventure like the old school kind of like LucasArts games like Discworld or
Monkey Island.
Monkey Island, that's one, yeah. And I think it would work really well with the just have like a story set around all these penguins and these funny scenarios and stuff. Nice comedic point and click adventure.
Would it have the penguin jokes in there by any chance from the penguin bars?
It would have to. It would be just full of that stuff.
Jesus Christ! Would you have a certain Pingu in there by any chance? Like,
no. I mean, knowing how games do a lot of Easter eggs, you could probably put an Easter egg of Pingu in there, but obviously wouldn't be actually as a character. Maybe you have dead Pingu.
Interesting. Penguins. Fuck it. Okay, yeah, James. I'm waiting for Fergus's next one, but like we've gone from Romeo and Juliet to penguins. It's like, honestly, people do not expect, very typical when it comes here. I like how you guys are like, Brandon Sanderson, Romeo and Juliet, fucking, penguins, and I'm just like fucking Star Trek. And Scream, way more popular. But and I love what I'm just gonna say next, because basically my next one is Van Helsing. Now, I know Van Helsing. There was the recent TV show which sort of gender bent it. So basically, sorry. I know that recently there was the Van Helsing TV show where it was gender flipped. So basically, Van Helsing was a woman, and it was dealing with the vampire war, vampires in society and everything. It was on Netflix. I watched it, and obviously you had the great. I don't care what people say. I loved the Hugh Jackman Van Helsing film. It was cheesy as hell. I loved how the werewolf lichen ripped through the skin. I love the crossbow machine gun essentially in that film. I thought it was hilarious, and how Frankenstein wasn't a bad guy. And I've been playing Elden Ring recently, and I completed Ghost of Tsushima before that. And I was thinking, what if you created a Transylvanian style game with Van Helsing, and there's different sections, there's different locations of the map owned by different creatures from the monster lore, like the Wolfman and Dracula and Frankenstein, and all these territories you have to build factions with relationships with in the game. Obviously Dracula is the one you're gonna have to kill, but it sort of takes on like a Shadow of Mordor style approach as well, where basically, you have to go through this game, you have to build up, you have to kill these people as you go through the game. And Ghost of Tsushima, I loved the combat because there was multiple ways of doing the game. There was stealth, there was aggression. And with Van Helsing, he's obviously known as like, the hunter of monsters. And I thought it'd be really hilarious to do, or interested to do this sort of world. Now, the reason I was thinking of Elden Ring is because Elden Ring has such unique creature designs, like so unique. And I was thinking with Van Helsing, you could have a great upgrade system. You're sent by the Vatican, I don't know, at the beginning of the game, and you're told to take out these creatures, and then you have all your items taken away from you. You've got to build up to be Van Helsing again. And you meet people within the game who help you improve your technology, improve, how to defeat these creatures. And obviously, fighting Dracula at the end, you could, I don't know, try and defeat Dracula at the beginning, or, and get your ass handed to you, or you could build your way up, have the cool hat, because I think Van Helsing's always got to have his hat, or her hat. That's the thing as well. Like, with the TV show, Van Helsing doesn't have to be a man or a woman. It could be whoever we want it to be. That'd be a really interesting take as well. So yeah, maybe, I don't know. It takes the I said this one of the previous podcasts about Castlevania, how you're the last remaining character. Maybe you're from the Van Helsing family, and your family's been killed by Dracula, and you've got to kill Dracula. And I just realized Castlevania is a lot like Van Helsing. Why did I just link to that? I've literally only just linked the fact that Castlevania is a lot like Van Helsing. Jesus. Wow, that only took me decades to figure out. But no, I don't know. I think that'd be really interesting to do, to be honest.
It'd be fun. My next one is Watchmen, the game. I'm not entirely sure how you go about doing this. Say more mystery or more, don't know.
Have you seen the Watchmen TV show?
No, I've only ever seen the film.
Mate, so the Watchmen TV show takes place after the comic book version. So in that world, they don't use computers, or they don't use computers after a certain point because they don't trust technology. And obviously the squids are still a big thing in that world, because obviously the squids are in the original comic, the graphic novel. And it deals with investigations, figuring out this entire complex story, and there's an entire episode, half of it at least, is in black and white. And it's like it's about there's a lot of racial issues in that TV show, and the acting in that show is it's some of the best I've ever seen, in my opinion. Like, it's so good. I don't know if it's on Now TV you can watch, or just how you can watch online, but I highly recommend watching it. And there is definitely an investigation element there to it, and obviously the original one was an investigation.
Yeah, no, I definitely remember it being very trying to unravel the story, but the best way to do that as maybe you just play everyone's timeline, and they all sort of come together at the end, and then you get to pick between the characters, or you just play as Dr. Manhattan and just lay waste to everything because lols. Who knows? But it would be a good property to look into making a game. I mean, they barely managed to make a film out of it, so I don't know how they would. They might fare better with a game. Who knows?
I like the film.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, it was a good film. It was long, but I didn't need the flamethrower sex scene. I thought that was weird.
Yeah,
to be honest. But yeah, the Watchmen are interesting. Now, would it be set in modern day, or would it be would you make it like a 60s, 70s style thing?
I think so. Yeah, it would. It'd be a good time period to do. Also, it's not like, well, they reject technology anyway. Ooh. Yes, let's say yes.
And that is a yes, people. That is a yes. Well, awesome. Do you have any honorable mentions, or are you just going with your main list?
I'm tapped out. Well, I say Terry Pratchett, more Discworld games could be good. I recently found out from looking at the Wikipedia page that Terry Pratchett was involved in several mods for Oblivion and Skyrim. So he was quite involved in the video game world. So I'm surprised there aren't more. He said there was a point and click Discworld game, but I don't remember there being that many fairly modern Discworld orientated games,
In the
Hmm.
90s.
Mm.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Fair enough. James, are you done now, or
I have
you got
one
more?
more. I've got one final topic. One final entry to this topic. And that is a lesser known film called Inception.
Okay.
I would love to be able to be able to plan out your own mind heist and then actually undertake it. So you could have maybe like 3 levels in a game, kind of thing, 3 different separate mind heists. You start off planning it all out, working out what each of the levels are going to be, and then you kind of undertake it. I mean, I think would have to be you might have to make the rules of the different levels in the mind a little easier, a little more simplified. But I think you could make it work really, really well. It'd be really interesting, kind of make you actually really, really think about how you're going to kind of how you're going to actually delve into and operate in each level.
So when it comes to Inception, though, would you use the cast from the movie, or would you basically do it like your own sort of like basically take the concept of going within a dream, within a dream, within a dream, and
And
then
I think I do. I think do your latter option. I think, and make it just your own unique story with unique characters, but set in the same world with the same technology.
and obviously it deals with like would obviously time extension would be a big thing in that game because obviously
Yeah.
it gets longer to go into it. Now, question is though, James, at the end of your game, would they have gone back into the real world, or will they still be in the Inception world?
Yeah, for use will be trapped in the game forever. Is it still a game, or are you in the real world? No.
Exactly.
But you could do all sorts of crazy stuff with it. I don't know, but then maybe do I want to recycle that twist? I'm not sure. I'd probably try and think of some other kind of twist, but maybe leave it with some other twist, which has like
Nice.
some quite similar impacts.
Nice. Again, people, James has gone from some interesting takes tonight, from Penguins to Inception. Penception. Let's call it Penception for, I was going to call it Pengception, but Penception sounds better. Again, people, you got to ramble sometimes, you got to talk through and everything.
Or how about Pingception, like Pingu?
I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. I don't have any more specifically. I have a couple of a few honorable mentions. First is the Avatar series. I think it'd be pretty cool to make like an Avatar game. You create like you're an avatar. You choose the nation you want to be born into, and you just deal with the events of the game. I think that'd be really awesome to do. To be honest. Another one was Lost in Space. So like a family drama, Telltale style game where you're trying to figure out how to get to Alpha Centauri, or if it is Alpha Centauri, like in that sort of approach. The other two, which I'm surprised I didn't put up more, was The Boys and Invincible. So obviously with The Boys, it could be having like an investigation style aspect, or it could have like a combat style aspect to it, because obviously you're fighting superheroes and taking them down and controlling them and everything, but you're dealing with the bigger investigation against Voight. I think that'd be pretty interesting. Or Invincible. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen the Invincible animated show yet.
No.
No. I highly, James, I think you'd really enjoy it. It's like 8 episodes. It's like 40 minutes an episode, but it's all on Amazon Prime. But basically, that graphic novel, it finished. It felt like, because basically the character, each time he gets injured, he gets stronger. Each time every time he fights and everything. So it basically, it's like his muscles. He's training. He's getting stronger, and as he gets older, his age slows down. So he gets stronger and young, and he ages less. So it's kind of like a leveling up in a video game. And he fights so many different characters and goes on to so many different worlds. That'd be really interesting to see to us. I'm not going to spoil the show though, because I think you need to watch the show to get a better understanding of it. But that is everyone's choices, people. That is everyone's choice. It's been an interesting selection again. Going through Fergus's, Brandon Sanderson to Agatha Christie to, all these investigations, and then James's penguins and my random Scream thrown in there for some bloody reason. But honestly, sometimes, we don't do these shows as long, but it's definitely good to have a good conversation with everything. I hope you guys had a good conversation with it today as well. I think it was quite fun. But that is it, people. That is it. Next week we will be delving into our favorite stories in video games. What are some of the things that we've really enjoyed playing, or just watching in video games? Like if you play Metal Gear Solid, there are sometimes movies within games itself because the cutscenes are that long. But again, if you've got any questions or queries, feel free to email us at nmipodcast@outlook.com. That's nmipodcast@outlook.com. Make sure to maybe drop us your game ideas or from properties that you would have liked. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NMIcast. That's Twitter or Instagram at NMIcast. Please come back next week again as we go into favorite narratives from video games, favorite stories from video games. Obviously, listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, and SoundCloud. NMI- when you need more info. That's NMI- when you need more info. And give us a rating over there. Give us a rating over there. Again, I've been your host, Nate. I want to thank Fergus and James for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
It's good.
Well, people, make sure you stay safe, and I will speak to you next week. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.